Let's give a warm welcome to Congressman Mica.
Well, thank you, Kirk, for the introduction, and good to see everybody in Washington, and welcome. Where do I start today? A funny thing happened on the way trying to pass a transportation bill. Maybe that should be the title of my remarks this morning. I did have a conversation with leadership staff yesterday upon my arrival and during the past week, and I did have a conversation with the speaker last night. Exactly what we're going to do, I want to be perfectly frank, I can't tell you at this point. We've discussed a host of options. We are up against a deadline of the 31st when the extension that I helped put in place and tried to provide some stability in the process for you all expires. So again, the final proposal, I cannot tell you exactly at this point where we will be. My insistence last night was as long a term as possible. The reform provisions we've got to keep in the bill, and I'm willing to work with the transit people to see if we can try to pacify both sides, some that aren't big transit fans, you figure this one out, and then also pacify those that want a little bit more security and reliability in the funding of transit than they feel they have. So I've tried to get as long a term a bill as possible, and we have some challenges. I'll talk about that in just a second. So I guess that's a bad thing to have a long-term bill, isn't it, guys and ladies? God forbid you should have some dependable federal partner in this process, someone that would make a commitment over a long term rather than 8 extensions that we're on, and not allowing you to plan, not allowing you to move forward with major projects. So I guess it's a bad bill because we proposed a long-term bill. But then again, one of the problems is financing. Oh my goodness gracious, what did we propose? We proposed actually funding at current levels, which is kind of tough, as you know, with the crowd that got sent here at the last election and sent a very serious message that we want to comply with, is that keep spending under control. The bill does that. So I guess that's a bad provision too, that we would actually fund at current levels. And then, oh heavens forbid that we should actually look at some programs that, okay, let's take the programs first that work fairly well, TIFIA works fairly well, and make it work better. Well, what a dumb idea. Even the Senate concurred with that. Even business and labor's on board. Oh, how ridiculous can we be? And we felt, listening to you, that we could shorten some of the times. We don't roll over any environmental requirements, but we could shorten the time. We could shorten the number of bites at the apple. And then we could actually accomplish some approvals concurrently rather than consecutively in drawing out the process. All those suggestions came from you. How could you suggest such horrible things to us to put in that bill? I'm just befuddled by it all. So that's the crux of the legislation that you helped us propose and draft, and that's been so highly criticized. You all know how much money comes in the trust fund from our 18.4 cents and then our other motor vehicle taxes comes into the trust fund. It's about $35 billion a year. We've been spending closer to $48 billion a year. Do the simple math, it's about $13 billion shortfall. That money we've taken out of general revenue, and anytime you take money out of general revenue, whether it's for a war effort or whatever, you're borrowing right now 43 cents on a dollar. This Congress is going to have some means of paying for any of the expenditures. That's just a given, folks. Anyone who thinks it's going to get better and after this next election, you're smoking the funny weed, because it's not going to happen. So one of the rubs, as you know, is with the transit community. And it sort of befuddles me. The transit community, who has no source of revenue, is demanding that they stay in and get a share of the trust fund, which, one, they don't contribute to, and two, the trust fund basically is not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to go down in its revenue as vehicles switch out to alternative fuels. And we do need to transition this whole transportation financing scheme that we have in place. It's got to be done. It's not going to be done right now, but we do give enough time for transition. So I think that transit has shafted themselves, and it's regrettable that they've taken the stand that they have taken, and I had pledged to work with them. And again, they've got some of the urban folks concerned about the funding mechanism. But actually, if you look at that versus the Senate 18-month plan, where they bankrupt the trust fund in 18 months and no hope of funding anything, that's the alternative that's on the table right now. Most members don't understand the complexity of transportation funding. They don't understand all of these issues. And you got to remember, on our side, we have about 90 new members. That's a phenomenal number of members. And it does take a while to understand this. You know, I was on the committee a long time before I understood. And every day, you know, maybe it's with you all too. Every day you learn something a little bit new because it is a very complex area. And the federal government, of course, has made it very complex, and we're trying to simplify some of that. But I thank you for the invitation back, and if you can go forth, get these members by the ear, tell them how important it is. Don't be afraid. They're not going to bite you, and just tell them we've got to, as the cable guy says, we've got to get her done.